You are exhausted, you are busy, and you are lying to yourself. You crash at night telling yourself, I put in a hard day's work. You think you know why the promotion hasn't materialized, why the business hasn't scaled, or why you're still just planning your greatest life. The truth is, you are confusing frantic activity with meaningful accomplishment, and that comfortable lie is where dreams go to die. I watched an associate put in 14-hour days, hustling harder than anyone else, yet he was passed up for every major opportunity. Why? Because when we broke down his 14 hours, only 2 were spent on work that required his unique genius, the deep work, the innovation, the strategy. The other 12 hours, just noise, comfortable distraction masquerading as sacrifice. That is your life right now. You are allergic to the hard thing and addicted to the low-hanging fruit of your to-do list. This isn't a theory. It is a brutal reality backed by brain science. Your mind favors the easy path, giving you a fake progress hit of dopamine for clearing your inbox instead of doing the heavy lifting. You are literally training your brain to be a coward. You want the CEO lifestyle, but you maintain an intern's focus. The wall between you and your next level isn't talent or funding. It is this lie. Ready to shatter the lie and claim your next level. I am giving you the weapon you need, the 3-hour contract. Stop being the person who manages tasks and become the person who multiplies value. The time for games is over. Listen to me. I am going to hit you with a truth right now that you have been successfully running from for the last 6 months. And I need you to stop playing games with your own potential. You are lying to yourself about your schedule. You wake up, you hit the ground running. You feel busy. You crash at night, exhausted, and you tell yourself, I put in a hard day's work. You think you know why you are stuck. You think you know why the promotion hasn't materialized, why the business hasn't scaled. You don't, not yet. You are confusing activity with accomplishment, and that comfortable distinction is where dreams go to die. I remember watching a guy, right? This was years ago. He was an associate working at a firm, hustling like crazy. I'd see him at 6 a.m. in the cafeteria responding to emails. I'd see him at 9 p.m. still at his desk, sorting through paperwork, moving files around, looking exhausted, looking like he was grinding, right? He looked like the picture of commitment. He was doing more than anyone else in the office, hands down. But here's the kicker. He was getting passed up for every single opportunity. The other associates, the ones who went home at 5 p.m., they were getting the big projects, the promotions, the raises. And I finally went to him one day just to talk, just to check on his spirit, because I could see the frustration boiling over. And he looked me dead in the eye and said, Ed, I am the hardest worker here. I'm putting in 14 hours. I'm sacrificing everything. Why am I being overlooked? I said, brother, let's look at the hours. And we broke it down minute by minute. He started his day by clearing out the urgent messages that somebody else dictated. He spent 3 hours in non-essential meetings where nothing was decided. He spent his mid-afternoon doing administrative tasks that an entry-level assistant should have handled, tasks that took zero mental energy. He finished the day filing reports that were important, yes, but could have been delegated. Out of 14 hours, how many were spent on the work that required his unique genius? How many hours were spent strategizing, innovating, or doing the single hardest task that moved the entire project forward? We calculated it together, staring at the whiteboard, and the truth hit him like a physical blow. 2 hours. 2 hours of real high-value, needle-moving work. The rest was just noise. The rest was comfortable distraction masquerading as sacrifice. That's your life right now. Stop lying to yourself. You feel busy, so you think you're productive. You confuse movement with progress. And that lie is the wall between you and your next level. You want the CEO lifestyle, the corner office, the financial freedom, but you are maintaining an intern's focus. You are allergic to the hard thing. You are addicted to the low-hanging fruit of your to-do list. That's the conflict. That's the painful truth. You keep shoving down. You say you value your future, but you treat your present time like it is free and unlimited. You treat it like you'll have a redo tomorrow. You want the success, but you are running from the sacrifice of focus. You owe it to you. You owe it to you. Why do we do this? Why do we run a marathon of low-value tasks and then collapse telling ourselves we're spent. Because the science of the human brain is simple but brutal. Your brain favors the path of least resistance. It is designed for efficiency. And to it, efficiency means choosing the urgent, easy task, the email, the notification, the quick reply, over the important hard task, the deep work, the innovation, the strategy. Why? Because the easy tasks give you an immediate, albeit fake, hit of progress. It's an instant gratification loop that says, good job, you cleared your inbox. But that dopamine rush is poisoning your potential because it lets you escape the heavy lifting required for true growth. You're trading long-term power for short-term comfort, and you are literally training your brain to be a coward. We have to break the pattern. You need a weapon against your own distraction, a simple rule to force you into the fire. Forget the complicated time management systems. Forget the gurus selling you the 6-step plan. Here is your micro action, your tool, and it starts today. The 3-hour contract. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you open your laptop, before you greet the chaos of the world, identify the single hardest, highest value task that exists on your list. The one that, if you complete it, makes everything else easier. That task is your contract. Block 3 hours, 180 minutes, and do that task first. No negotiations. You don't get to ask for a bathroom break. You don't get to check the text message. You don't get to drift over to social media for 180 minutes. You are surgically attached to the hardest thing in your life. Let me show you how it looks. The alarm goes off. You are building an application. And the hardest task is coding the core logic for the authentication layer. You sit down, you pour a glass of water, and for 3 hours, all you see is code. The phone buzzes. You hear the little ping of an email coming in. You feel the anxiety that you have to check it. That is the old you talking. You tell the anxiety, I am in a necessary season of separation. You shut it down. You finish the logic. The 3 hours expire. You have already won the day before most people have even started to think about winning. You have conquered your most difficult obstacle. You have generated real value. The rest of the day is just clean. This is the shift. This is the new identity. You stop being the person who manages tasks and chases other people's emergencies, and you become the person who multiplies value. You become someone who understands that focus is your currency, and you refuse to trade it for anything less than gold. You are not a manager of mediocrity. You are a creator of consequence. You are a strategic thinker. You are a finisher. You are the one who does the hard thing first every single day. That is who you are becoming, starting right now. I need you to look at your calendar, look at your to-do list, and I need you to find that one big, ugly, intimidating task. Sign the contract with yourself. When the clock hits the start time tomorrow morning, put your head down and execute. Do not wait for motivation. Commitment doesn't ask permission. Go get the work done. Go be the person you promised yourself you would become. Don't waste another day being busy when you could be accomplishing. The time is now. You want me to tell you the raw, uncut truth about why you're stuck. It's not your bank account. It's not the economy. It's not even your lack of motivation. It's the people you keep sitting next to. Listen to me very closely. Stop letting broke people make decisions for you. And I don't just mean financially broke. I mean ambition broke, spiritually broke, focus broke. That's the real poverty. And you are bathing in it. You know why you can't get your momentum going? Because every time you start to climb, you look down and your supposed friends are holding your ankles, begging you to stay in a comfortable mud with them. You think you are immune to your environment. You think your ambition is so strong that the negativity of your circle can't touch you. You've got it twisted. You are voluntarily shackled by the comfort of familiarity. And the chain gang is celebrating your mediocrity. You know this already. You know exactly what you need to cut out. That one friend who always encourages the time wasting habit. The low effort environment that tolerates your excuses, the dinner conversations that never move beyond gossip and regret. You know, the boundary you need to set, but you don't set it because the fear of being lonely is greater than your desire for freedom. I remember when I first started to climb, and it was hard, real hard. There was this one dude, been my boy since kindergarten. We did everything together, played ball, struggled together, ate together. So when I started studying for my exams, chasing that education, I told him, man, I am cutting back. I need to lock in. I got to be great. He said, I got you, E. But every Friday night, right when I was about to open the book, the phone would ring. Yo, we're going out. One drink, just one night off. Man, you work too hard. He didn't mean any harm. He wasn't malicious. But what he was saying was, stay down here with me. Your movement makes me uncomfortable with my stagnation. Why night? It was late past midnight, and I was sitting there fighting the urge to go out because I was tired and the loneliness of the library was heavy. I remember staring at the textbook, feeling that internal conflict screaming inside me, thinking, if I go with them, I'll feel love tonight, but I'll hate myself tomorrow. If I stayed, I was lonely and stressed, but I was building a future. I had to realize that their praise, their temporary comfort, was a poison dressed up as love. I had to let go of the hand that was pulling me backward, even if that hand felt like home. That's the real problem you're facing right now. You are addicted to the cheap validation of people going nowhere. You are sitting here wishing for an exceptional life, a six-figure salary, a global impact, but you cling to an average circle that validates your excuses. That's the contrast. You're allergic to the solitude required to strategize your greatness because you are more comfortable with the temporary noise of mediocrity. I need you to understand that you cannot surround yourself with 5 people who are okay with average and expect to become a beast. You are asking for a miracle that defies the laws of the universe. This isn't theory. This is the cold, hard science of influence. It's called mirror neurons. Your brain is constantly firing, subconsciously aligning your habits, your ambition, and your financial ceiling with the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are not strong enough to lift 5 dead weights simultaneously. They don't have to talk you out of your dream. They just have to show you that it is okay to live small, and your subconscious mind will sign the contract. Your environment is always speaking to you. If your environment says a 4 hard workday is enough, you'll believe it. If your environment says debt is normal, you'll accept it. You cannot soar with eagles if you spend your mornings arguing with ducks. The time for negotiation is over. We're deploying a weapon against the crowd today, the 7-day social fast. I need you to initiate a 7-day zero tolerance boundary where you decline every non-essential, purely social invitation. No happy hour, no meaningless group text, no random dinners that serve no purpose but procrastination. You take the time gained, the 10 hours, the 15 hours, and you aggressively and surgically deploy it against your highest value goal. Here's how it works in real life. The phone dings. Hey, movie night, drinks are on us. You stop. You recognize that little feeling of obligation, that fear of missing out. That's your addiction to validation talking. You pick up the phone and you say, I appreciate the invitation, but I can't. I'm in a necessary season of separation. You don't owe them an excuse. You don't owe them a detailed explanation of your blueprint. You owe yourself the focus. You hang up that phone and you go back to the blueprint, the book, the cold call, the workout, the hard thing that will change your life. You commit to that separation for 7 days, 7 days of silence, 7 days of focus, 7 days of building the gap between you and the crowd. When you do this, something transformative happens. You stop being the person who craves validation and you become the person who commands respect. You shift your identity from the person who wants to be liked to the person who is becoming powerful. You become someone who understands that self-worth is non-negotiable, and you refuse to dilute your future with convenient company. You are a strategic thinker. You understand that your energy is precious, and you only share it with people and places that are going to increase your value. You are walking into a space of intentional solitude, and in that solitude, you find your strength, you find your plan, and you find the discipline to execute. You need to recognize right now, every person you are chasing to hang out with is a potential detour on your road to greatness. Every moment you spend trying to please people who aren't even trying to please themselves is a moment stolen from your destiny. The fast starts now. Turn the phone to silent, lock the door. Tell the people who are going nowhere that you are unavailable because you are busy building something that requires your whole mind, your whole heart, and your whole time. Go get your freedom. Go earn your silence. I'm calling you out right now. I'm calling you out on the lie. You're telling yourself every single time you open a new tab on your browser. I'm telling you that you don't want success. You want a magic pill. And that is why you are broke. Not just financially broke, but motivationally broke, spiritually broke. You are obsessed with finding the perfect formula, the secret course, the flawless blueprint. And that obsession is the single biggest block between you and execution. You think you're being diligent. You think you're being prepared. You are not. You are hiding. You are simply paralyzed by the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And instead of taking the first painful step, you're stuck in an endless loop of research and planning. I remember watching people when I was hustling, grinding, trying to figure out how to build something real. I had a buddy, smart dude, incredible ideas. He wanted to launch a tutoring business for underprivileged kids. Incredible vision. But every time I asked him about it, he wasn't doing the work. He was preparing to do the work. He spent 6 months researching the best software for scheduling. He bought 3 different online courses on marketing strategy. He spent a whole weekend designing a logo he never used. He knew the goal. He knew the impact. But he was addicted to the feeling of starting something new, the intellectual high of planning, while running from the grueling, unglamorous work of actually building the business. 6 months later, the software wasn't set up. No student had been tutored. And the guy was exhausted from planning a life he wasn't living. You're doing the exact same thing. You are stuck in analysis paralysis. The reason you're not moving forward is that you're looking at the mountain and saying, I can't possibly climb that whole thing. So what do? You buy a new map. You buy new boots. You buy a new compass. You buy the perfect climbing gear and you sit at the base of the mountain surrounded by all the gear and feel productive because you are prepared. Stop lying to yourself. You want mastery, but you're only willing to invest in a microwavable result. You chase the feeling of starting something new, the dopamine rush of novelty, because you run from the boring, necessary discipline required to finish the hard thing you already started. That is the conflict. The truth people avoid is that you are addicted to the beginner's high. That is the psychological insight right there. Your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical, every time you acquire interesting information. Like when you buy a course, download a new productivity app, or watch a motivational video. You get a surge that makes you feel productive. You feel like you've moved forward, even though you haven't lifted a finger to execute the material. That instant reward short-circuits your system, convincing you that planning is the same as progress. But I'm here to tell you that true growth, the kind that changes your bank account and your legacy, happens in the valley of disappointment. That long, boring stretch of repetition where you show up day after day, and the result doesn't match the effort. Your brain fights that valley. It says, let's find something new and shiny. And that's why you keep quitting. You owe it to you. You owe it to you. You deserve more than a planning habit. We need to stop the cycle. We need to short circuit the paralysis. You need a simple step that forces commitment and demolishes the planning. Lie. Your tool is this. The minimum viable step. Envious, stop planning the entire mountain. Stop trying to engineer a flawless 5-year rollout. I need you to identify the smallest, most ridiculous task that moves you forward today. Right now, the task must be so small, so simple, that you can't possibly say no to it. And you must be able to complete it in 5 minutes or less. Let's see it in action. You need to write the first chapter of your book, and it feels too big. The MVS is not outline the entire book. The MVS is write one bad paragraph. 5 minutes, open the document and write one paragraph. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to exist. You need to call 5 clients and the list feels too long. The MVS is dial the first number. Just dial it. That is the only job. You need to hit the gym. The MVS is put on your shoes. Do it in 5 minutes. Stop negotiating with yourself about the outcome. Focus solely on the movement. That initial momentum is the currency you need, not the perfection you keep seeking. Because movement generates more movement. When you commit to the MVS, you completely change your identity. You stop being the person who seeks the formula, the student looking for the secret answer, and you become the person who builds the engine, the mechanic who focuses on daily, tangible output. You become someone who realizes that value isn't found in a shortcut. It is forged in consistency. You become the person who is addicted to finishing, not just starting. You become someone who understands that the act of execution, messy and imperfect as it may be, is the highest form of self-respect. The search for the perfect system ends today. The research phase is over. The moment you finish watching this, I need you to identify the most ridiculous, tiny, forward, moving action you've been avoiding. I don't care if it is send the email or read the first page. It must be simple and it must be done in 5 minutes. Do it. Go manufacture some momentum right now. Stop waiting for the magic pill. Go build the future you keep planning for. Let me tell you why you're stuck. I'm going to go right to the gut of the issue. You think your problem is external. You think you're missing the funding, the connections, the perfect degree. But the real reason you're running in place is this. You keep waiting for someone to give you permission, and your potential is dying on the waiting list. You are sitting there like an applicant, portfolio in hand, waiting for the committee of the world to call your name and tell you, it is your turn to be great. But the committee ain't coming. They don't care about your dream. You think you're lacking resources. You're lacking the audacity to look around, see what you have, and deploy it right now. I had a student, brilliant mind. He wanted to start a social enterprise, clean water initiatives in developing countries, world-changing vision, right? But for 2 years, he wouldn't start. He'd come to me and say, Ed, I need a grant first. I need a formal partnership with an NGO. I don't have the platform yet. He had an engineering degree, a smartphone, a beat-up pickup truck, and 30 days of free time. But all he saw was the deficit. He was so busy staring at the giant pile of what he didn't have, the $50,000 grant, the corporate sponsorship, that he refused to acknowledge the incredible power of what he did have, the skill, the network of a few dedicated friends, and the ability to drive that truck 30 miles to a community right here in the state that was struggling. He saw himself as powerless because he was waiting for external validation to unlock his internal power. That's your life right now. You spend more energy worrying about the connections you don't have and the experiences you don't possess than leveraging the unique gift, the skill, or the platform you do possess right this second. You view yourself as a hopeful applicant when you should be operating as the CEO. That's the conflict you're losing. You demand a higher price from the world, a better job, a bigger contract, more respect, but you refuse to pay a higher price in preparation and initiative. You let your past mistakes define your future potential, valuing the regret more than the lesson learned. You are your own bottleneck. The search for the perfect system ends today. The research phase is over. The moment you finish watching this, I need you to identify the most ridiculous, tiny, forward-moving action you've been avoiding. I don't care if it is send the email or read the first page. It must be simple, and it must be done in 5 minutes. Do it. Go manufacture some momentum right now. Stop waiting for the magic pill. Go build the future you keep planning for. Let me tell you why you're stuck. I'm going to go right to the gut of the issue. You think your problem is external. You think you're missing the funding, the connections, the perfect degree. But the real reason you're running in place is this. You keep waiting for someone to give you permission, and your potential is dying on the waiting list. You are sitting there like an applicant portfolio in hand, waiting for the committee of the world to call your name and tell you it is your turn to be great. But the committee ain't coming. They don't care about your dream. You think you're lacking resources. You're not. You're lacking the audacity to look around. See what you have and deploy it right now. I had a student, brilliant mind. He wanted to start a social enterprise, clean water initiatives in developing countries, world-changing vision, right? But for 2 years, he wouldn't start. He'd come to me and say, Ed, I need a grant first. I need a formal partnership with an NGO. I don't have the platform yet. He had an engineering degree, a smartphone, a beat-up pickup truck, and 30 days of free time. But all he saw was the deficit. He was so busy staring at the giant pile of what he didn't have, the $50,000 grant, the corporate sponsorship, that he refused to acknowledge the incredible power of what he did have, the skill, the network of a few dedicated friends, and the ability to drive that truck 30 miles to a community right here in the state that was struggling. He saw himself as powerless because he was waiting for external validation to unlock his internal power. That's your life right now. You spend more energy worrying about the connections you don't have and the experiences you don't possess than leveraging the unique gift, the skill, or the platform you do possess, right? This second, you view yourself as a hopeful applicant when you should be operating as the CEO. That's the conflict you're losing. You demand a higher price from the world, a better job, a bigger contract, more respect, but you refuse to pay a higher price in preparation and initiative. You let your past mistakes define your future potential, valuing the regret more than the lesson learned. You are your own bottleneck,